Nano Machine. By Hanjung Weolya. Chapter 37, Collect 11 Individuals, 1. After acquiring the energy flow, Chun Yowon was able to replicate the sword formation perfectly. He still felt like it was a bit lacking, and he knew that it came from his lack of experience. Yowon then asked Nano to see if he had recorded the front side of the second floor stone, and luckily, Nano did have it. And Yowon went through the same process. The second formation was also a bit lacking, but this was as far as he could go. Let's thank Father Chunma for his discovery. He then wondered about the rest of the sword formations probably left on other floors. I guess I have no choice but to pass all the tests. Yowon then came up with one more question. Then why does the counter formation require no energy flow? He was not yet experienced enough to learn this. He thought he could take it slow since he still knew how to use the formation at least. Yowon asked Nano, "What's the time right now?" "It's about 6 p.m., Master." It was already dinner time. He had skipped lunch, so he was starving. Yowon then left the room. The underground floor seemed empty. It was great that the group test was over. All cadets were required to eat together during the second stage, but they were now allowed to go during designated hours to eat meals whenever they wanted. Wow! Chun Yowon was excited to smell the food as he walked in. Unlike other times, today was a special food day. It's noodles. Yowon got in line and received the noodles and meat broth. The cook that poured the broth spoke to Yowon with a smile. "It's a beef noodle soup. It's uncommon in this region." It was a noodle bowl created with meat broth which contained boiled with beef bones and meat. It was a common noodle bowl south of the Yellow River. The Academy's cafeteria had various cooks from each region, so it gave cadets the opportunity to try different foods from each region. Yowon got to the table and began eating the noodles. He had never eaten noodles before, and it was so good that he began chowing down. When he went for another bowl and came back, someone sat next to him. The table was open to all cadets, so Yowon did not care about who sat next to him and focused on eating, but the person started speaking to him. "You are the 7th cadet, the leader of the 8th group, right?" "Huh?" His question could easily be answered just by looking at the tag, so that meant that he was talking to Yowon on purpose. Yowon looked up to the young man next to him. He was handsome, but he had maybe one little flaw. Where is his eye? His eye was very narrow and small, but it seemed to fit him very nicely too. "I'm lucky. I wanted to meet you." He was polite but also suspicious. "If you are asking about me, shouldn't you be introducing yourself first?" The young man then grinned. "Oh, mind my manners. I am the 200th cadet, Yumpa from the 19th group." "Chun Yowon." Yowon answered coldly and Yumpa asked, "I know this is a strange question, but can you duel me?" Yowon frowned. He didn't expect a request to duel while he was eating. "What do you mean?" "I'm asking you to duel me. You have a problem with me?" He couldn't think of anyone other than from members of the 6 clans having grudges against him. Yowon wasn't completely sure, but he did cause some nuisance at the 2nd floor of the library. No, nothing like that. It's not that. Then why do you want a duel?" Should I say, it's to see if it's worthy? Worthy? Chun Yowon was confused. He wasn't sure if the worthiness was about the young man or about Yowon. He then decided that there was no point in dueling him and shook his head. "I refuse." As expected, but too fast. "Why did you ask if you expected it?" Yumpa didn't seem to be let down. He then brought up an offer. "Then let me explain what I can give to you if you accept. If you win the duel, I will give you vital information about the 3rd test, and a small gift." He whispered when he said the 3rd test. Yowon became intrigued, but he didn't show it. "How can a mere cadet like you have such important information?" "Well, I can't spill everything when you won't accept my duel request, but I guess I have to prove myself. My father once reached the 5th stage, so I know about everything up to the 4th test." "Is he from a high-ranked clan?" That was most likely if his father had passed the 4th test. Unlike Yowon, who entered the academy without any prior knowledge, most cadets from the high-ranked clans had heard about what to expect in the academy. But Yumpa's offer had a flaw. "I heard the tests go through changes each time. Your father passing those tests means nothing." "That is true, but it still shares the same concept. It was as expected up until both tests so far." Yumpa was certain. Yowon then began to hesitate. What does he want? Why does he want to duel me? Is he certain that he can defeat me? That was the weird part. However, there was no loss in dueling him, and Yowon didn't think he would lose either. Yowon decided to agree to the duel. "Good. You will not regret it." Both of them then headed to the forest at the back of the dorm. When they got to the point where no one was around, Yumpa readied himself. He had seen Chun Yowon using a powerful blade skill while dealing with Chun Wonryu already. However, he was also certain that he wouldn't lose easily. If what you showed during the test was your all, then it will be disappointing. He didn't say this as it could be taunting him. Yumpa stood in the distance and bowed. Yumpa of the Moon Energy Blade Clan. Yowon became intrigued. He didn't think Yumpa was going to use a blade skill. He also bowed. Chun Yowon. Let's start. Yumpa then charged. His movement was a bit slower than Chun Mukium's, but it was still very fast and powerful. He's an experienced warrior. Yowon was able to guess the opponent's power easily. It seems like he had the power that most group leaders had and asked to duel. However, Chun Yowon was very different now. He quickly took his steps and dodged the blade skill. That is good, but this is not the end. Yumpa then spun, moving into his next formation, but Yowon snatched his wrist quickly. Huh? Yumpa was shocked. He hadn't unleashed the blade skill yet, but his wrist was wielding powerful energy within it. And Yowon snatched it as if it was nothing. Before Yumpa could react, Yowon threw him up and down on the ground like a sack. Arg! It was so powerful that the ground sunk behind him. Yumpa even forgot about his pain and became dumbfounded. The duel was over in just one move. He's not like how he was 2 days ago. Chapter 38, Collect 11 Individuals, Part 2. Chun Yowon looked down at Yumpa, the 200th cadet, and back to his hand. I should get used to it. Yowon failed to control the power he now held. Yumpa crouched on the ground from the pain coming from his back. It wasn't too bad, but it seemed like he had taken internal damage. Ugh, was he hiding his power? He thought Yowon was an experienced warrior and that he would be able to withstand at least tens of formations. However, he had to reevaluate his thoughts. I lost. He accepted his loss while crouching. And when the pain subsided, Yumpa got up. I thought you were around the level of an experienced warrior, but you are more than that. You sure do inherit the blood from the sky. Chun Yowon did not respond to that. He didn't appreciate his lineage that much. Anyway, I will have to keep my promise then. I want to ask you something first. Yes? Why did you want to have a duel with me? Yowon still couldn't find the reason why Yumpa wanted to duel, especially with the condition of sharing vital information. Haha. You sure don't trust people very easily. As I said in the cafeteria, it was to see the worthiness. Worthiness? Are you talking about me? Yes, and it also applies to me too. It is for the third test. What did it have to do with the third test? Yumpa then began explaining the third test. It is likely that the third test will be done with groups again. What? I heard that there will be no more group tests. That's what Lee Hemming himself had declared. Yumpa waved his hand. It's not like the second test. What difference is there? Because this one relies on one's own strength. Huh? Third test is to sort out the high-ranked warriors. I'm sure you know how powerful our cult's high-ranked warriors are. Currently, the ones who were strong enough to be considered as strong as high-ranked warriors were only about 40 out of 207 cadets that were left. If what he says is true, the next test will take a while. Most cadets only had 10 to 20 years of internal energy, which was lacking to become a high-ranked warrior. With the Black Dragon Ball, most cadets will achieve 30 years worth of energy. That was possible since they would all be receiving the Black Dragon Ball soon. However, there was a catch. Then they will be missing out on the martial arts. Yes. Their internal energy issue is solved, and they now need to be taught good martial arts. That was necessary to be considered as a powerful warrior. Since the cadets were not allowed on the third floor of the library which had books on top-level martial arts, most cadets were bound to fail. If the test isn't to have cadets to create a new martial art, then there is only one answer. Yumpa smiled. Yes. A top-grade martial art will be provided in this test. So, only the ones who acquire it can pass the test? Yes, but there's another issue. That alone will make it too easy, and as you know, the test gets only harder once you move up. Over 80% of students would pass if that was the only issue with the third test. If what my father told me is right, the martial art form that's provided is the Seven Demons Sword, which all of our high-ranked warriors know how to use. It was the sword skill created by famous the swordsman named the Sword Demon within the demonic cult. It was created to fight against Sorim's formation. The unique thing about it was that if there were more people, it had the ability to create a powerful formation attack. This allowed weaker warriors to fight against stronger warriors if they outnumbered them. My father told me that 12 people had to group up to learn this. 12? Yes, it is the basic number to complete the skill. But learning the formation was harder than learning the sword skill itself. Yoan then realized why Yumpa had asked him to duel. It was to see how powerful Yoan was. Was that the reason why you asked me to duel? Of course. I couldn't decide just by looking at one formation. I needed to see your real skill to count on you. Huh? Chun Yoan frowned. Oh, I forgot to tell you this. The new test will be done voluntarily. On everything. Huh? Voluntarily? You can choose your own groups. I heard that only the group leaders are chosen due to evaluations. Meaning, they will allow the leader to choose whoever they like? Yes, that is correct. But members can refuse also. I'm pretty sure this is a test for the princes of the 6 clans, rather than a test for regular cadets. Yoan then became excited. This meant that the test would directly be the competition to the throne itself. It's my chance to make allies. But don't the cadets need to side with the leaders to pass the test also? Yumpa answered, yes, but they can't just choose any leader, otherwise they will risk their success rate to the test itself. We might have to compete with other groups in some other way in the end. I see. He's quite clever. It seemed that Yumpa was quick-thinking and quite knowledgeable. He had the potential to be a tactician and seemed to be very helpful. So, was that why you said you will count on me? Yes. Remember I said that I would give you a small gift? The gift is me. Yoan frowned. He didn't expect a great gift, but he didn't like it that much either. I might not become a leader. No, from what I can see, you will be a leader. And don't you think it's better you have someone like me, rather than some lacking cadets? Yoan was hesitant as there was still one more thing he couldn't understand. Why did you choose me? There are other princes or leaders who passed the second test. This was his biggest question here. That is an excellent question. I need to trust you if I am to take you in. Yumpa then scratched his head. I'll tell you the truth. No offense, but I actually offered the same thing to the princes of the Wise and Sword clans. He sighed as he said that, which meant that he had been turned down. Were you refused? They were already full. They already have skilled warriors serving them. No spots left for me. What about the other 4 groups? It was too quick to give up after meeting just 2 groups. Yumpa shook his head. Yeah, but I thought all the princes from the 6 clans would be the same. So, I was the second choice. Yumpa smiled, yeah, and we walk the same path of the blade, don't we? Oh? Yoan looked at him weirdly. Yumpa then smiled awkwardly as he continued, I'm not just asking you to take me in. You can just consider it as using me until you pass the 3rd test. It was now up to Chun Yoan. Yumpa even bowed politely. Will you take me in, Prince? Chun Yoan smiled softly. Yumpa thought he had been accepted, so he went down on his knees to show his thanks. Thank you for? I refuse. Huh? Yoan spoke to him again. I said, I refuse. Chapter 39, Collect 11 Individuals, Part 3. But why? That's for you to think about. Chun Yoan turned his back to him. His eyes were cold when he turned. Nano, deactivate facial expression analysis. Deactivating. It was one of Nano's abilities that allowed him to see if the person was lying or not. He's suspicious. When he talked with Yumpa, he felt the shadow of Chun Yuchan from within and activated the skill. There was no change to the facial muscles while talking about the 3rd test, but when he was asked why he didn't go to the other princes, Nano found the change in expression. They were already full. They already have skilled warriors serving them. No spots left for me. Sensing slight change in facial expression. Chance of the entity lying is at 45%. Yeah, but I thought all the princes from the 6 clans would be the same. Detected continuous muscle shift in facial expression. Chance of lying increased to 62%. It was impossible for the nano machine to read human expressions entirely. If it was against a trained spy, it would not have been possible. As for Chun Yoan who had his doubts, Yumpa gave him some evidence. Yeah, we walk the same path of the blade, don't we? We walk the same path of the blade. That was very similar to what Chun Yuchan had said before. Yoan then was able to confirm the shadow of the Blade clan inside Yumpa. A crony. He then came to realize the various suspicious things that Yumpa had. He said he went to the Wise and Sword clan and took out the Blade clan when he was a blade skill user. Yoan then went to the private training room for further training. As Yoan went down to the forest, Yumpa also went down and met with someone in the alleyway between buildings. He was meeting with Chun Yuchan to give him the report. He refused. Yes, Prince. Chun Yuchan raised his eyebrow. He just heard about the information of the 3rd test and left. I didn't say anything that might make him suspicious. Ha 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 ha. Chun Yuchan burst into laughter. Yumpa wasn't sure why he was laughing when Yumpa had failed his mission. He really is interesting. He just ran off with the information then. Yuchan waved his hand. He then stopped laughing and continued, so, a petty scheme won't work. Yuchan didn't seem to expect much from Yumpa anyway. Wouldn't this ruin the whole plan? It is ruined already. Then what? Are you going to beg him to take you in? No, of course not. As Chun Yuchan said, Yoan did not trust people easily. He had been suspicious of Yumpa from the beginning and it only became worse as time went by. It would have been interesting if your plan worked, but he's too valuable to fail the test for not having the amount of required team members. I would recruit him again if he wasn't in the competition. Yumpa's plan was to join Yoan's team and leave his group on the day of the test so that he would fail the test without even taking it on. Yumpa then knelt down. Prince, give me another chance. I have other plans ready. No, it's alright. He smiled and reassured Yumpa, but it made Yumpa even more scared. But you don't need to do that anymore, so you should go look for a different group to sneak into. Who knows if you will become a leader also? Huh? Yumpa was shocked. He had worked so hard to serve Chun Yuchan, but he was now banishing him. Then you won't accept me as. Oh, I already have many fools who I have to kick out, you see. Prince, please give me another chance. Yumpa tried to grab Yuchan's pants, but he quickly moved back and dodged it. He then became cold and said, I don't need a useless fool. Get lost. Yumpa was abandoned just like that. As he walked back to the dorm while sobbing, Yuchan thought about the concerning part of the report. He overpowered Yumpa in one attack. This was hard to understand from what he saw himself regarding Yoan's power 2 days ago. Chun Yoan returned to his private training room in the underground area. 11 people, nothing's for sure yet. He had gotten good information, but nothing was official yet. However, he thought he should be ready to recruit people. He already had few from the 8th group, but he still needed more. He also questioned if ones in the 8th group would follow him. Let's finish up the training and think about it after I get back. He then focused on the remaining training and ordered Nano. Nano, did you finish analyzing all the books scanned from the 1st and 2nd floor? Yes, Master. Nano, can you create an avatar with a certain amount of power and movement embedded with those martial arts techniques that you scanned? That is possible if you appoint a certain entity. This was what Yoan decided to do to move on with his training. Set the avatar to be Chun Yukiam and begin embedding each martial arts technique. Yes, Master. Creating avatar for the simulation. And soon, the augmented reality created Chun Yukiam in front of his eyes. Peasant. Come and get it. You come. Fool. Hiya. The martial arts was low-ranked one from the 1st floor, but when Chun Yukiam, a proficient warrior, used it, the skill was still quite powerful. Yoan dodged the skill and used his butterfly blade dance to throw his hand at the avatar's neck. I got him. Ugh. It was the same way he did it in the forest, but the result was different. Mukiam's avatar neck twisted weirdly as it was struck, and the avatar disappeared. Chun Mukiam's avatar died with a destroyed neck bone. What? Yoan was dumbfounded. Just 3 days ago, the avatar was only thrown to the side. Nano's voice resounded in his head. The avatar of Chun Yukiam cannot take the damage from Master. Oh. His physical strength was now at the limit, so a young warrior like Chun Yukiam had no way to fight back. This won't work. Yoan then decided to change methods. Let's do this. Create 5 Chun Yukiam avatars, no actually, 10 avatars with mid-ranked martial arts skills. Understood. He thought that would even out the odds. A total of 10 avatars was created. The room was small, but the augmented reality didn't care about the physical size of the room and created a virtual room for avatars to move further back. Was this too much? Chun Yoan regretted it a bit but decided to go on with the training. All 10 avatars attacked him at once. I have to block them at once. There was a perfect formation for doing this. It was the second formation of the butterfly blade dance. He quickly spun and swung the hand blade to counter the formation from 4 avatars. 2 of them were struck in their blood points and that made them disappear. Got the first. Next. Ugh. There was no time to waste. The other avatars quickly moved toward him and Yoan jumped up to avoid being attacked. And at that moment. Ugh. He bumped into the ceiling. Unlike the avatars, he was still in a small room. Chapter 40, Collect 11 Individuals, Part 4. Chun Yo-won fell to the ground and he heard Nano's voice inside his head. Stopping augmented reality. All avatars were put to a stop. No. Chun Yo-won then looked up at the ceiling, concerned that he might have torn a hole through the ceiling again. Luckily, it was fine, but there was a large crack and a dent in the area where he had bumped his head. Should I not report it? If he reported this, he'd definitely be forbidden from using the private training room. However, he decided to tell the truth. It will cause more problems if I don't inform them. A cleaning crew would be coming in later in the night, and they would definitely notice the mess he had made. Yo-won then went to the first floor office and reported it to the instructor. What? You destroyed the room again? He shouted furiously and they went to the room together. After looking at the ceiling, he placed his hand over his forehead and spoke dumbfoundedly. What in the world? Oh, gosh. The instructor then spoke coldly. I warned you. You are now forbidden from using this private training room. I'm sorry. He had nothing more to say and bowed. He then tried to go out and the instructor stopped him. Humph. Where do you think you're going? Come with me. Yes, sir. It seemed like there was additional punishment. As he followed the instructor, they went to the building right across the private training rooms. The building was about half the size of the training building, but it wasn't yet open to cadets. It was dark and instructor lit up candles to walk in. There were many rooms just like the training building, but they were wider. The instructor then opened up one of the rooms and told Yo-won to go in. Oh. It was a training room, but it was much larger. The instructor said, you will train here from now on. What? I can't let you destroy the other rooms. He smiled and Yo-won was grateful for being provided with another place to train. And where is this? This is the training room open to those who pass the 4th test. 4th? Yes. The 4th test requires you to be at the level of a master. Only those who become the squad leader are allowed in this room. But I didn't pass the 4th test. No, of course not. I just opened it for you earlier. The instructor had talked about this issue with Chief Lee Hemming already, and he asked him to open up the training room for the ones who were at the level of masters, reason being that they might destroy the training rooms like Yo-won did. Lee Hemming deemed it reasonable and approved it. But how did you find out that I was at the master level? Yo-won asked curiously and the instructor grinned. You can't even leave a dent in the wall in that private training room if you weren't at such a level. Yo-won nodded. This place is more durable, so it won't be destroyed. You can concentrate on your training. Thank you, sir. But the instructor did not know that Yo-won's physical strength was strong enough to even damage walls of this place since he was made to damage the blue pearl stone. This size should be okay for me to use augmented reality. Nano, what's the time? A little after 7 p.m., master. I see. He still had a lot of time left before he had to return. He then tried to battle against the 10 Chun Mukam avatars again, but he came up with a different idea. Nano, can you make Teacher Submang be the avatar? Yes, but it will be based off his movements that he showed in the medical room. Yo-won smiled. Teacher will be more helpful than Chun Mukium. Will you set the martial arts? Let's set it at the butterfly blade dance for now. Chun Yo-won was curious as to how hard would it be to fight Submang in his own martial arts skill. He was one of top 10 warriors of the cult after all. Activating. And soon, Right Guardian Submang appeared in front of Yo-won. Ha, my apprentice. Let's have a fight. Yo-won then prepared himself and charged in. I'll attack first. He still had a long ways to go to fight Submang, so he needed to take his chances. But it was then Submang used basic movements from his skill to block Yo-won's blade and kicked him. Arg! Yo-won flew back and Submang unleashed his third formation. The 7 movements quickly attacked Yo-won, cutting through him. He was then thrown on the ground with pain coming from all parts of his body. Nano, which made the cut on his body, quickly healed him back. Ugh! He was shocked. He knew he had no chance, but he didn't think he'd be taken out after one formation. I guess this was too much. Will you change the martial arts of the avatar? Yo-won frowned. He didn't feel like doing it since it felt like he was losing. No, let me test one more thing. Understood. Proceeding with the battle. The avatar then began to move again. What? You want more? Yo-won then unleashed the original sword formation he learned from the blue pearl stone. Submang's avatar tried to fight back through his blade skill, but he couldn't counter the sword skill and was struck in his blood points. Aarg! Submang's avatar was thrown back. I got him. Yo-won then followed up with the last movement, but Submang's avatar spun quickly and unleashed the second blade skill. Yo-won's finger touched Submang's head, but he was thrown back from the blade spin. He thought he had lost even while using the sword skill and looked at Subming's avatar. Oh. Yoan had left some damage on Subming's avatar. He had overpowered the avatar through the formation, but he lacked the experience to deliver a critical blow. So, I need other powers to win. Yoan realized that he couldn't just fight powerful warriors with the knowledge of sword formations. Let's not jump to conclusions. It only had been 3 weeks since he learned martial arts and he still had 4 years left within the academy. He then got a new goal. Let's beat teacher in 4 years. He of course meant Subming's avatar, but if Yoan achieved his goal, it would make him a powerful warrior in record time. Yoan then returned to training against the Tenchan Mukiums. After using his entire day to train, he was now able to fight against the Tenchan Mukiums as an equal. And then 3-day vacation was over. Early in the morning, all the cadets gathered at the training ground and Li Hamming came up onto the stage. Did you spend your vacation well? Motto. The cadets roared and Hamming continued. I will explain the next test and hand out the black dragon balls. As he spoke, instructors quickly brought up 17 tables onto the stage, and each table had 12 books. The third test is to make a sword formation with 12 men groups. People began to mumble and Yoan, who knew about the test already, looked at Hamming eagerly.